The dilemma that many of us who do structured training encounter is training with others, the group ride. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. Sometimes you can do both. Sometimes you can't. One of the better situations is to have a training partner that has similar goals that you do. I am fortunate that this year I found somebody that's just a little bit better than I am, though the specificity of her goals necessitate a little adjustment on my part, which for right now is doable. With Natalia out of town for an event this past weekend and my needing to do a specific workout, this is a case study on my group solo ride. To set the table, on the Tuesday before, I did threshold work up a climb that included 30 by 30 wall sprints. On the way back, because of the company I was with, it was amped. Thursday's workout was supposed to be mostly endurance with a little spice, but it turned out to be the opposite. As this was happening, I was figuring this was okay because I knew that on Saturday I could compensate by just doing only endurance. I found a ride for Saturday that was posted by Eric, and I figured that since most everyone was going to be doing that same event that Natalia was doing down south, that this would be a low-key ride. This would be perfect for endurance, especially since his ride was around 70 miles, and with my 30-plus miles riding to and from, that would give me a little over 100 miles with close to 6,000 feet of climbing. When I got to the start, I saw that not everybody went to the event down south. I saw Cat 2 Ronnie, I saw the fast contingent of the HRC group, and I saw this new guy named Jose who climbs like a spider monkey. Fortunately, there were some other people there since this was a diverse group that I knew this one guy, very good on the flats, but challenged on the climb. So I figured, okay, I can stay with him. When it had gotten a minute past the start time and we still were standing there, we apparently were waiting for somebody. If you've ridden with the Cycling Greek before, you know that if you set a time, you start on that time. Though there has been the rare occasion where I did wait for somebody. I told the group, I'll ride up ahead and you guys will catch me. About 10 miles later, this was the opportunity for me to do more endurance on top of the 15 miles to get out to the start, and endurance was all I wanted to do today. Fortunately, they stayed on my wheel when they connected with me, and I was able to continue my pace. When we started that sticky little 1 mile climb called Bubblegum, they were all starting to go past me. I figured I'd find and connect with that non-climber guy and stick with him. Turns out Bubblegum was not much of a challenge for him, so he went ahead of me. I decided just to keep my pace. I was happy to see that they had made an impromptu stop at the store that you're seeing in my rearview camera right now. I made eye contact, waved, and pointed that I was going to continue on. Being a large group, there was a diversity of needs. So that gave me extra time to actually get toward the top of the first undulating climb before I was caught. And of course I was caught by some of the fastest guys. This time I picked up my speed to stay with them. But I didn't go in the red, and when I picked up my speed, I did so in an even fashion, and I wouldn't let my intensity go above a certain point. I figured that if I stayed in my parameters, that if I did connect with that guy that was challenged climbing, then I'd be able to stick with him. He never did catch me by the time we got to the store at the top of the undulating climbs. I got my water, I got some calories, I saw some of the others getting fried chicken and eating it, and I have no idea, they must have stomachs of steel. That is definitely something that I can't do. Regardless, I let the others know I was taking off, and I took off. I was now somewhere between the 35 and 40 mile mark. With there being a big group, and with the fried chicken and all that, their rest stops tend to be longer. If my workout today was based on race pace with these guys, I wouldn't mind the slightly longer rest stops. I'm an old guy. But now since this is endurance, I want to be in and out. At about the 62 mile mark, I pulled into the second and last of my rest stops. The group hadn't caught me yet, and that included a 5 mile, pretty steep climb. I figured they must have had a flat or something. Just as I was leaving, Cat 2 Ronnie and Jose pulled up and told me that the ride organizer, Eric, had a bit of a crash on the descent. He's okay, they just stopped to make sure that the bike was okay, and then they continued on. I figured with the timing and the climbing diversity of the group that I probably wouldn't see them again. This was pretty much a solo ride within my group ride. A little over 107 miles with not a lot of climbing relative to the distance. I had a couple of wins in this workout. The first is that I actually stuck to my workout. Only 4% of my riding was above tempo. The next is, given all that climbing and descending, the difference between my average wattage and my normalized average wattage was not that great. 151 versus 168 watts. My intensity was pretty steady. I also appreciated, with me being AFib boy, that there were no spikes in my my heart rate, that everything was pretty even, and I kept it to where it should have been. Lastly, and equally as important, is the amount of off-the-bike time that I had. If you take away the amount of time I waited at the start, which for me was at about the 15-mile mark, and a small errand that I had to do at the very end with a couple miles to go, I was probably off the bike for around 25 minutes. This definitely was a good day. Hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. Let me know below when group rides have worked out for you and when they haven't. And as always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.